Today we're going to be working with median, mode, and range, taking a look at the three and figuring out how to use them when we're working with a data set. So before we actually get into finding our data set, we're going to take a look at a couple things that we talked about in class, just some general reminders. And our first rule was to always put your data in order. It doesn't matter whether you put your data in order from the least to greatest or greatest to least, just as long as your data is organized so that when you actually go to find the mode or the median or the range, it's a lot easier for you to do. So we're going to start off really quick before we actually count anything or do anything like that and go through our keywords. So our range is up first, and if you guys remember, the range is the only thing we do with data where we use a math operation. So our range, we're going to find the biggest number, and we're going to find the lowest number, and we're going to subtract them, and the number that you get, the difference, will be your range. The second thing we're going to find is going to be the median, and that's going to be the middle number. And we're actually going to work with two data sets here in the next couple minutes. We're going to work with one set of data where it's an odd number of numbers in our data set, so you can see how the median looks there. And then we're also going to work with an even numbered set, so you can see how the median works with those. The last one, and I always think it's the easiest one, is the mode. And the mode is just simply the number that appears the most within your data set. Okay? So we're going to take a look at those three things. So we're hanging out in a closet in my house. That's part of the closet. And what I did was I took 5 stacks of baseball cards, stacked them up, and I counted the number of cards in each. Okay? So in this first stack there's 8. In my second stack there's 7, 6, 5, and 5. So if I take a step back, you can actually see that my numbers are in order from greatest on this side all the way over here to least. Okay, and remember that's your number one rule. You always have to do that before you start your problem. So now we're going to go through and we're going to find our 3 different items we're looking for: our mode, our median, and our range. And we're going to start off with the simplest one here first, and we're going to try to find the mode. Okay, so as I'm looking at my numbers, I have an 8, a 7, a 6, a 5, and a 5. I actually physically count the number of numbers, each number I have. So I have 1, 1, 1, and then 2 5s. Since I have 2 5s, I'm going to go ahead and say that the 5 is the mode. Okay, and it's really important to go ahead and count the numbers. I know sometimes people try to eyeball it and just say, well, it looks like I have a bunch of 5s or I have a bunch of 6s. And it's still a really good idea to go ahead and count them. All right, my second one that we're going to look at is the median. The median's the middle number, and I always think that median's easier to find when you have an odd set of numbers, meaning when you look at my data set, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. So in this case, what I'm going to do is, there's a couple ways you can think about it. One is you can count 1 from each side. So like I cross them out if I have a piece of paper. Since I have cards, I can actually flip them. And I flip or cross out the same number on each side, and whatever I have left in the middle, that's my median. If you actually want to see it with something being crossed out, it would go like this. I'd cross 1 out on this side, 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 and then in the middle I have that 6 left. So the 6 here is going to be my median. Okay, my last one that we're going to look at with this number set is my range. And again, that's the only one where you're using a math operation. So you're going to find your biggest number and your smallest number, and when you do that, you're going to have an 8 and a 5. You subtract them, and so for this set of numbers, your range is going to be 3. All right, I'm going to switch out my numbers here and switch out my cards, and I'm going to show you one more set of data, only this time I'm going to use even number set of cards. And if you're a person that likes to count smallest to greatest, I'll also change it up and show you that way too. So I'm going to set my 6 out here, different sets out, and I already counted them before I started making my video. So my first set, I have 12. Ironically, they're cardinal cards, so I was happy that there were 12 of them. Okay, and then I have 2 9s, a 7, a 6, and a 5. Okay, so 2 of your things you're looking for, your range and your mode, you're going to use the same technique for. So we'll start with mode, since that's really easy. And again, I'm physically going to count the numbers. It's just a good habit to get into. So with 12 I have 1, with the 9s I have a 2, the 7 I have 1, the 6 I have 1, and the 5 I have 1. Since I have 2 9s, that is the mode, since I have the most. Okay? The range is also going to be the same. Again, you have a 12 and a 5. The 12 is your highest. The 5 is your lowest. So you're going to take them, subtract them. So in this case, your range would be 7. Okay? All right, my last one then, I want to take a little bit of time to explain, and that's my median. So with this number set, if you're looking at it, I have a 12, a 9, 9, 7, 6, 5. If you try doing the thing where you either flip them over or cross them out, let me see if I can do that here with one hand, okay? So I flipped over the smallest, I flipped over the largest, so now I have 4 numbers here in the middle. So if I keep flipping over, I eventually get to the point, whether I'm flipping over or crossing off, where I have 2 numbers now left in the middle. I have a 7 and I have a 9. So what I need to do is look at those 2 numbers, and I need to think about them like they're on a timeline. Okay? So if I'm looking at them in a timeline, I have a 7, I have a 9, and I want to think about what's in between them. Okay? So if I'm looking at a number line in between a 7 and a 9, there's an 8. So even though it's not a part of my data set, my median of my data set is the number 8. It's kind of a hard one to catch on to. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video and learned a little bit more or reviewed a little bit more. And thank you.